Welcome, everyone. Today, on our Love Change podcast, we would like to talk about the journey you embark on when you go through personal change. The point is that usually we do a lot of work without experiencing the things that we are dealing with. So, if we have fear issues or whatever issues from our past, it's not so easy to really unfurl them when we just learn about them. But once we meet someone where we really get triggered, I feel that's where exponential growth really kicks in, and that's where we can, face those topics and resolve them. So let's talk about that.
Thanks for tuning in. It's the Love Change podcast. We're live every Tuesday. The only promise we make to you is that we're honest about all the changes we've been through, the nitty gritty, the dirty, the ugly, the stuff that you usually would hide from the picture perfect version of yourself that you like to present. And I think it's good to emphasize that the topic that Kay brought today is something that's pretty difficult because she was talking about certain fears, certain traumas, certain insecurities that you um, can think about by yourself, but truly testing whether you are healing and whether you are not afraid anymore or that you react differently with the same type of fear is something that you say is better doable with somebody poking you once in a
It's
while.
exponentially really,
Difference.
yeah, for me, it really makes a huge difference.
The analogy that makes sense to me is like if you want to get to know yourself, you want to develop yourself uh, more and more, you need to put yourself in more and more unknown situations.
Yeah.
And I think to just say another person is amazing, no, it needs to be somebody that actually almost comes from a different planet. And how
I
do you
don't know
say it?
about that.
Yeah, what I mean is that if somebody's much like you, they will avoid the same things. They will stay in the same lanes as you do. So both of you will not touch what is scary for you.
Yeah,
But if you're with somebody who is not scared of the things that you're scared of, then you will be put in a situation that you notice, hey, this is something that really scares me, but not them. And why is that? Or
It's kind of, I would almost put it alike with comfort zones. Like you in a different comfort zone than I am, and of course you're gonna trigger things that are out of my comfort zone because
yeah,
they're in your
vice versa.
comfort zone,
Yeah.
right? So I think, yeah, as you said, when you find people that are very alike, you might groove with them very well, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, we get along so great, like we known each other forever. But you're also not gonna edge on things and be like, oh, I see it completely differently. Oh wow, that's surprising, etc. So I think that's the major difference in who
But
you
what?
choose to be around you to help you grow.
That's true. That's a good question. How do you
Yeah.
choose them?
How do you choose them?
Yeah.
Well, if you feel there is something that triggers something, or I don't know, for me it was something in the beginning that I felt about you, and I was like, I cannot comprehend it yet. And I think now it's starting to be comprehensible.
Okay.
And I think that's, yeah, I just felt intrigued. I felt interested. I was like, it feels like this is someone that I can learn from, like, can learn with, I can grow with together, and develop into something.
What made you come up with this topic for today? What was going through your head that you're like, this is the topic we should
Yeah, I
talk?
kind of like what we spoke about the last week. So I'm kind of like really feeling I'm out of my comfort zone in all the ideas that you have for our relationship versus what I have.
Mm.
And you might say that sometimes you come or I come across as I'm judgy or whatever. Might be true in that sense for
I think
sure.
sometimes I say I feel judged. I'm not saying you
Also,
are judging me. I
yeah,
don't know.
but I don't see that big difference in that. But
Mm.
I lost my point right now. Thanks.
No, but you said some things make me feel judged,
Mm.
and then
I don't know.
different.
How did I come up with that topic? No, I really lost my point. Wow.
Sorry.
That's all right. Sorry, people. Not even sorry for myself. Yeah, I really feel that there are things that we are touching that are so like elementary different, like your idea of a relationship and mine, and something in me is super like rebelling against it, but
Against what?
against that idea that you have,
Okay.
because it's so far away from what I have. But at the same time, I'm like, if you're in a camp of seeing something and being afraid of it, having a weird feeling in your belly, then I'm like, actually, it goes back to fear. So it's something that I want to face, because that's a promise I made to myself a long time ago. The things that I'm fearful of, I want to face head on, because then there is something in it that I need to learn. So in that scenario, it's like the idea of what you have is so far away, then I'm like, God damn it, like cannot deal with it. But at the same time, I'm like, hold on, like go through all the discomfort and all the weird feelings in my body that are telling me to see what is in for me, because it's like so on the other side of what I'm used to, of what I'm knowing, that I'm like, yeah, I cannot be afraid of the unknown. I want to experience and want to figure out if there's something in for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, now I get you better. We had a bit of trouble figuring out what the topic actually is when we were
Tiny baby bit.
writing it down, but it's actually the difference between thinking about your fears and facing them.
I don't think it's necessarily fears, but
the way you describe it now,
in that particular scenario,
yeah, we can talk about change
I
and
think you
personal
can talk
growth.
about schemas. You can talk about everything. You can talk about
Eventually,
the problems
it's
you have,
about
attachment.
what you do when you experience fear.
All
the other
we talk
stuff.
right now about fear, yeah, but I think it's all things that you have from wherever age, attachment issues, etc., etc.
But they are all fear-based things.
Probably most of them.
All of them. It's you get hurt in some type of way.
Okay.
And it's
fair enough.
normal to be afraid for that type of pain.
Yeah.
And it can be coped with in many different ways.
Fair point. Yeah, it is mainly fear-based. I agree. Yeah, it's a good one.
So that's the topic for today.
That's the topic for today. 10 minutes in, now we got there. Okay. Yeah. Praise the topic. That's good. Good things come out when we talk about it. See? Yeah, so I think for me, really, the more I kind of look at it, it's really, I don't know, usually when I would have experienced something like that in the past, I'd be like, okay, I'm done. I cannot deal with that. Bye. And I would just not allow to feel and face this fear in many situations. And it's for the first time that I really care for someone, and I'm like, there is something about it that is you that I actually have seen from day one, but I didn't understand it. And now it's becoming something that is making sense. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, like I cannot cut that part off you, because then you would probably not be you anymore. So it's more like getting my head around and trying to see if that's something that I can resonate with in whatever sense. And I find that really interesting. I was really thinking about it today a lot. In the sense of like, I might come across as judgy or whatever, but of course there's so much disturbance in me towards that idea that things kick in, like, oh my gosh, can't deal with that, etc., etc. But at the same time, like, if you put yourself consciously in a beginner's mind, you're like, okay, what is that about? I'm curious, I'm interested. That's the childlike mind of exploring and curiosity. And that's the promise I made to myself today, to be like, might come like, hey, I'm no saint, might come across judgy, fair point, might come across weird, but I definitely, my intention is to explore it in a child-like way and with a beginner's mind, and see what is in for me.
This is the key, that like every time we are triggered by any type of fear, can be work related, can be personal life related, can be friendship, can be a relationship, can be your own kids, can be your parents. When we are confronted with a fear, what do you do? Do you eject yourself from a situation?
Exactly.
Do you disconnect yourself from yourself? Do you kind of disassociate with the situation?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Do you suppress how you feel about the situation and act like nothing's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you express what you're going through and still repeat the fact that you're invested in not being afraid? I think that's the biggest thing I can say about it is like I have a client of mine. She's very afraid to be angry. She's been told from a young age that it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's whatever, not feminine like, just to be angry. And so for her, all the types of situations that she's dealing with, because she does not allow herself anger, she shuts down. She just freezes. Um, she has her own journey in embracing fear and seeing the value of fear. Other people just get angry; they just turn red.
Yeah.
Um,
She just like presses it down.
yeah, and eventually, it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to be afraid. Courage is the part that you decide, what am I gonna do now? Now that I am experiencing it.
Yeah, I think it starts earlier. It's you experience something,
Mhm.
and then you can be like, oh my gosh, fear coming up, red zone, eject, bye. Or you're like, okay, that sounds really crazy, but I'm gonna put on my beginner's mind
Yeah,
and
you
just
call it
listen to what it is about. A friend of mine mentioned that. I love that frame.
the beginner's mind.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's like when you do something for the first time, you're like, how does that exactly work? I love that. So
I think I know a lot of people who also, when they do something for the first time, they're not like, how does it work? They're like, oh, am I doing it right?
well, I can only speak for myself in that moment. I
You
do.
also struggle with a lot of things that you're doing for the first time. That aside, I think the beginner's mind, I think it's more of a playful mind. Let's see what
I
this
like
game
the
is.
beginner's
Yeah,
mind.
the
I
beginner's
really
mind.
loved it.
Not everybody's comfortable with being a beginner. That's all I'm trying to say.
I think what we talk about in general is not being comfortable at all. So being a
So
beginner is also, yeah,
it's
you're
not
not
a
comfortable. No
comfortable.
one is,
Okay,
but
okay.
we are not talking
That's
about
why you're
topics that are comfort based here
okay.
at
Yeah,
all.
no, that's
So
true.
that's why for me a beginner's mind is exactly what I really use
Yeah,
here. But
yeah. It's
hey,
dealing with a whole
everyone
bunch.
chooses what they like.
It's a whole bunch of unknowns you're dealing with.
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
truth of it.
So yeah, I think that's I really feel, of course it also depends like how deep is the trigger for you. So let's start with that amplitude as such. So if something triggers something in you, then might be a mild reaction or it might be a super severe reaction. I think what I had was a pretty deep reaction, and I kind of really surprised myself because I was like, wow, cannot deal with that, need some distance, need some space, this is sounding really crazy for me. That was also for the first time a conscious decision to not shut down but speak up for myself. So I kind of like, I'm really observing this journey as a bigger picture of how I react and respond to what is going on. And that's something where for the first time I sat with myself and I was like, not in the camp of giving myself credits, very, very seldomly. But that was for the first time where I'm like, wow, kind of speaking up for myself, but still trying to keep my mind curious and open and approach it as a part of you that I want to get to know as well. So, yeah, I think that's the best way to phrase it.
Super. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Some work in progress.
Absolutely. How does it feel for you?
What?
The talks, how does that all resonate with you?
This talk?
This talk, yeah, we can just take this talk, yeah.
I think it's good to reflect on what we're going through. I think for me, as you are explaining how you went through it and summarizing it as a positive experience for you, I'm not sure if I can frame it like that for me because I had to deal with the severity of your reaction.
Yeah.
and that left me feeling all types of ways. So for me to say that I experienced the beginner mind, I can see that you're trying to not eject, and that's powerful. I think it takes a lot of effort, but I don't per se feel very well received with a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
I would
things.
not give myself credit for well receiving
No,
you.
no,
No,
that's,
absolutely not. Don't get me wrong. If
no,
that
no,
came
no. I'm
across
not
like as
saying that
such, no.
that's what you're giving yourself credit for. I think what you're giving yourself credit
It's
for
like
is that,
trial error.
yeah, that you're
But
taking effort, you're making
exactly,
attempts, and I think that's beautiful.
because that's
For
like a
me,
whole
what
new
I said
pathway.
is like if what I think is life is not comfortable for you, um, then you're not obligated to feel comfortable about it. You know, it's not.
How do you mean?
Yeah, like if it's the version of life that I see for myself is something that doesn't make you happy.
Yeah, but that's kind of short-sighted in my opinion, because maybe that part I just haven't explored for myself, and there's a fear in it. It doesn't mean I don't like it, but to expose myself to that fear, I might discover that there is something in it that I like. So it's short-sighted to say, yeah, if that's not something that is in your comfort zone or in a
Difficult to
frame.
say that it's short-sighted because the way I see you reacting
Yeah,
is a severe reaction, and I just do hear you. I have
Yeah.
had the conversations with you,
yeah,
but it's like normal to think, okay, maybe you're not having a good time. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this.
yeah, maybe. But I think I'm also honest enough to decide that
Of course, of
I wanna
course.
see what is in for me.
Nobody's deciding anything for you. I think what is important is for me when I experience you like that in those settings. I also have to choose to like I'm gonna sit here going through those fears with you.
Yeah.
Is intense for me also.
Mm.
You know, just
Yeah,
as
fair
much,
enough.
just as much you choose to face them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're packing your bag and going a week into the jungle. No, I'm there with you,
Yeah.
and that is something that I'm like, wow, didn't expect that, didn't see that coming. Then I also need my own process because a lot of the process has been addressing what happened to you, and I noticed that now for me, I'm at a place that actually I need some space.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
No, I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I guess that's it for me today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Topic might have been a bit vague. We're talking about finding your comfort zone and creating your own relationship according to your own standards and norms and beliefs.
Yeah.
And being open and honest, taboo free, shame free about all that you might desire and wish for in your relationship. And yeah, I guess those are topics like if you consider how many couples talk about sex, how many couples talk about sexuality, about attraction, about what is nice, what is not. Uh, they're still considered taboo topics. That's why there are sex therapists out there. That's why there are
Just
there's
therapists in general.
yeah so many people educating people,
Yeah.
and we're taking the steps in talking about these things with each other, and it's interesting to see how much of it is intertwined with the sensation of safety and loyalty and just the bedrock of what one considers a relationship where they belong. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing. And we'll see you on the next
Love change out.
Love Change Out.